And welcome back to the studio, Belle Lupton. Hello there.
Hi there, Kat.
Been thumbing through the international papers for us. You've got some stories for us from India to start us off.
Absolutely. So the Prime Minister Narendra Modi back from a whistle-stop tour through 4 African countries, Mozambique, South Africa, Tanzania and Kenya. I'll just run you through what the Hindustan Times says Narendra Modi achieved. He signed 7 pacts with his Kenyan counterpart across defence, security and avoidance of double taxation, and he offered $92 million to Tanzania for a key water supply project. But the Hindu points to something he didn't mention enough in an editorial. That is concern over racism in India that students and others from Africa often face. Now, that, of course, a reference to last month's attacks on African students who were studying in India.
And while Modi was away from home, violence was flaring up once again in Kashmir.
It was, and the business news digital publication Quartz accuses Modi. It says 4 days into the unrest in Kashmir, 30 are dead, and Modi has not a word to say. On foreign shores, he's playing drums and tweeting. That's a reference to the fact that he was playing drums in Kenya with his counterpart. Now, this article says the fresh violence provides a golden opportunity for Modi to solve a cycle of violence that has revolved since 1989. Now, how can you do that? Well, by treating the Kashmir crisis not as a security problem, but as a political problem. So far, it says, smug in its confidence that security forces can handle any situation, New Delhi doesn't see the brewing storm. The problem is not Pakistan, it's a local rebellion, but Kashmiris are in fact seeking an end to this conflict. And Modi should try and do the same by talking to everyone, including the Kashmiri separatists and also Pakistan. And he has to send out a signal of his sincerity to do so. Otherwise, this paper says, to continue punishing stone pelters with denial of passports will only push moderate Kashmiris deeper into political rebellion.
So that's the kind of the international analysis of this story. What are the actual Pakistani and Indian papers saying about it?
Well, you might imagine the Times of India throwing the stones over at Pakistan, accusing it of further escalating the Kashmir issue. Meanwhile, Pakistan's The Nation uses the words oppression and tyranny to describe India's security forces. It evokes the memory of 2 recent UK referenda in Scotland, on Scotland and also on the EU membership, to put forward the argument that Kashmiris ought to be allowed to determine whether or not they stay part of India or they want to be part of India for themselves.
All right, let's move on to another story now, an online story, in fact, that's made it into the international press. A new forum for female voices in Egypt.
It is. It's an invitation-only Facebook forum that was started by an Egyptian woman for Egyptian women. And it's to talk about subjects that are considered taboo in Egyptian society. Anything from sexual harassment, domestic violence, female genital mutilation, sex tips, marriage tips, and the wearing, of course, of the headscarf. Now, it comes in a context in which sexual harassment in Egypt has gone up hugely since the 2011 revolution. A report by the World Economic Forum last year ranked Egypt 136th out of 145 countries on gender equality. That puts it, to put you into context, below Saudi Arabia, where women aren't even allowed to drive.
All right, well, staying with women and the theme of women's issues, the very personal experience of one woman who a lot of our viewers will be familiar with. She's in the Western world. She's a celebrity, but what she has to say has been resonating with a lot of women all around the world. Yeah,
this is US actress Jennifer Aniston, who, in a rare move for her, because she's not on social networks, took to the Huffington Post to decry the objectification and scrutiny we put women through as a society. She starts, and she writes very well. It is a very readable article. She starts, for the record, I am not pregnant. What I am is fed up. She's sick of the tabloid press commenting on her body, obsessing over whether she's pregnant. Is she with a man? Is she not with a man? Is she happy with her man? And she says that's as though women are somehow incomplete, unsuccessful or unhappy if they're not married with children. She points out how many big stories there have been over the last month, things like the mass shootings, wildfires, upcoming elections. But journalists have focused instead on her eating a burger and how she does that. She says, tabloid practices, however dangerous, will not change. But her conclusion is that despite that, what we can change is, as consumers, is our reaction to those toxic messages, as she calls them, that come out. And she uses a word I'm not going to repeat, but she says we need to stop buying and I'll replace that with rubbish.
Okay, the bull's mess, I think we could say instead. So yeah, like you say, a rare bit of speaking out from Jennifer Aniston. We've got time for one last story, and one for the art lovers among you. Story of how Van Gogh lost his ear has finally been revealed.
It has. It's a new exhibition that's made the front page of the Guardian newspaper, a new exhibition at the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, and it rewrites the image of Van Gogh as this mad genius. Instead, it shows that his mental illness stopped him from working for long periods. So he painted despite rather than because of his tortured mind. Now, on the ear, a letter from his doctor reveals that under that bandage that you see in one of his paintings, it wasn't just the earlobe that was sliced off, but his whole ear, an extreme act of self-harm. And they found the revolver that you can see there that killed him. It was buried underground, which is why it didn't work very well and took him 30 hours to die.
Oh my goodness, a very sad and gruesome story there. Thank you very much, Belle Lupton, with that look through the international press.